Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I wanted to thank you for joining the Spiritist Talk series, which is promoted by the United States Spiritist Federation. We join here together every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Today, I am delighted to host this talk with Brian. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I am
And
wonderful. How are you today?
I am good. Good seeing you. And Brian
Good
will
seeing
be
you too.
talking. Yes, thank you. So Brian will be talking with this title, Call to Action. Can't wait to hear from you, Brian. But
Hmm.
let us, all of us in our minds and in our thoughts, give Brian a warm welcome. And Brian, before you start your presentation, please allow me to introduce you to those who may not know you like I do, right? We've known each other for what, 15 years?
Yeah.
Brian, yeah, right. So
Hmm.
Brian has been a spiritist speaker and presenter for, I would say, 2 decades. And he has spoken at centers in many different states: New Jersey, New York, Florida. I believe you went to Georgia as well, Brian, haven't
Yes.
you?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's how I
When I
met you.
lived, yeah, when I lived there, we have you there. It was just amazing. But Brian here actively advocates living the principles of Spiritism and with that living what we call a moral life. Professionally now, Brian is a licensed professional civil engineer and he works as a project engineer overseeing state roadway construction projects in the Tampa, Sarasota area, Florida. This is exactly what my father specialization is as well, Brian. Please
Hmm.
take this opportunity to send your questions using the chat window during the presentation. And Brian will have some reserved time to address your comments, your questions, your conclusions, right? And once he ends his presentation. So, Brian, I want to say thank you, and I will be waiting to hear from you.
Thank you. So, let's see. Waiting for my slide. Oh, there they are. There's my slides to call up. So, as mentioned before, I do espouse living a moral life. So this need to have a feel a call to action or to quote Home Depot's line, "Be a doer," was something that always resonated with me when within this thing. So when I chose this topic, I'm sitting there thinking like, how many people do we know that we will see at our centers, places of worship, or even outside of that into our daily communities, where we see people being just idle? They're listening, they're there, they're engaging in conversation, but then they don't step up and don't become a part of the group. And that was something that I was sitting there thinking about, is like, could we encourage people to do this? So, as always, go back, hit the books of the doctrine, starting with this one here, Spirit's book, The Law of Progress. Question 779: do humans draw from within themselves the power to progress, or is progress nothing more than the result of education? They advance naturally by themselves, not all progress at the same time or in the same manner. However, and it is through social contact that the most advanced help the others to progress. So when I was sitting here reading and participating in this, I was sitting here going back and preparing myself and like thinking like, okay, people can help out. People can help out in little ways. You can, you don't have to do big grandiose things. I have to give a special shout out to our tech person, Daniel, who's working in the background, and he does a phenomenal job making these live streams going well together. And that's his call to action. He comes and makes sure all of us look good, presents, and it sounds great on these productions. He had his call to action. Me, I'm doing it as a speaker. Same with Marcia. But that doesn't mean you also can't have a part of the progress. There could be something that you can do, whether it is helping out with charity, whether it is helping out with the like around the kitchen, cleaning. You know, we have this. I'll get to it in a little bit here with charity. So we have this moment to be charitable to other people. So moving on into the same section on the law of progress, 785. What is the greatest obstacle to progress? Pride and selfishness. I'm referring to moral progress since intellectual progress is always occurring. We're always learning. Two kinds of progress mutually support each other, but neither proceed in tandem: intellectual progress and moral progress. Many times we always hear about the story about an angel has two wings, and the wings have names: your morality and your intellectual. So you have to get each one stronger equally. So right now, humanity's kind of got a very strong intellectual wing, but not so strong moral wing. And we're trying to work on this and present and start to balance ourselves out so that we fly straight, as it were. So as we are improving ourselves and learning, we do need to curb and figure out, is what we're doing, what we're learning, what we're progressing towards moral? We see this a lot in some of the sciences out there, and these are arguments and debates that have been going for many, many years. Typically, the one I use the most as my go-to is the atomic bomb. Learning atomic energy, we have to some people, it's a clean source of energy, but it can also be used with knowing here the pride and selfishness. When those take control, it then becomes a terrible, terrible weapon. And even to the point where when it was used twice, it has not been used again in all that time, because humanity finally says we built something too strong, that I do not want to see this unleashed ever again. And there's been the worldwide motion to prevent that from people stopping to talk. So, but what happened with that? Again, we started looking at this from progress. We started looking at this morally. Is it right? What were the ways that we were saying? What could we have done to mitigate these things? Or when we're learning something new, right now we're trying to learn to go to the moon, to go to Mars. And we are wrestling with all these things that are going with it. And are we applying a moral principle to it? Is there a reason why we are working to go someplace else, but not take care of where we come from? Is this, a variety of questions like this. And that's progress. And that's what we're sitting there working on. But now let's bring it back to the individual. Let's bring it back to yourself. Are you taking the time to think about the actions in your life? Are you taking time to think about how you treat your family, your spouse, your children, your coworkers, your friends? Are you the person that is encouraging them, inspiring them, helping them progress in a good way? Or are you, in a way, like sitting back? Are you just letting things happen? Or are you being a portion of progress? Are you being part of that group that leads forward and helps to curb pride, selfishness? When we get into these things, we have to sit here and reflect back on our actions or inactions, as this topic is all about. So progressing on to, still staying in the Spirit's book, The Law of Progress, 799. In what way can Spiritism contribute to progress? By destroying materialism, one of the sores of society. It enables people to comprehend where their true interests lie. Destroying the prejudices of sect, caste, and color, Spiritism teaches them about the great solidarity that must unite them as brothers and sisters. Me personally, this one resonated out because we do see this a lot especially if you are paying any attention to news, current events, or just seeing some of the things that goes around in your day-to-day lives, no matter where you are in the world, you kind of see these things playing out. And it's like we do this one-upsmanship. We do all these different little things to sit there and get ahead of the other ones. We're always competing against each other in some instances. And we're not realizing, we're not taking accountability of our actions. We're not reflecting. We're not seeing how we can be a person that is allowing ourselves to be, controlled by almighty dollar, by what is the latest, greatest fashion sense, all kinds of different things that pulls us. And we sit there and look for ways in how we can improve ourselves. But are we improving ourselves materialistically, as the question 799 just suggests? Or are we also thinking about how our things are going spiritually? Because when we're talking about morals, we're talking about our spirit. We're talking our very, very soul. And within Spiritism, we realize that we have to be mindful of our spirit. We have to be mindful of our soul. We may go to the gym, work our muscles out, get stronger that way. We may read a book and get ourselves stronger mentally. But are we also exercising the soul? Are we making it stronger? Are we reflecting back and doing activities and actions that strengthen our morals and strengthen those goals? And that are we putting our practices in place that we are advancing forward for our individual progress, but we also can help progress those around us. We have to have this ability to learn, but then educate. If you're a parent, are you inspiring or teaching your children all the best things in your life, all the things that you've learned, the best things that make that person grow better? Because if you look through time, you look through history, you can see the advancements through time, especially from the time when this book was written over 160 years ago. You can see how we've progressed so much in 160 years. To think about, Spirit's book itself was written before the American Civil War, and everything that's taken place since then, the invention of flight, space travel, computers, television, so many advancements in technology have progressed in so little time. And it's only increasing faster because we continue to learn, we continue to grow. As I said before, our intellectual wing is getting stronger by the day. But we have to keep working on our moral wing. We have to keep making it stronger. Is this the best thing? Now, there have been movements and things throughout history that do this. We can say like the climate movement, environmentalism, things of those things. But are we also looking at poverty? Are we looking at destitution? All these people that are in need, that need a leg up, they need a help. They maybe just need that helping hand that comes out and says, I will lift you up. And once I lift you up, things get better. Because not only did you help them up to the next level, you're helping yourself up. Because as you go around and you help each other, you're humbling yourself. You're not allowing pride and selfishness to take control. And that's one of the key things that brings me into this topic, this call to action. We are here to improve ourselves. But while we're at it, we can improve the lives of all those around us. We can make our lives so much better. I'm going to switch over to the gospel according to Spiritism, because this is one of the key phrases. O Spiritists, love one another. This is the first teaching. Educate yourselves. This is the second one. That second one's a call to action. Educate yourselves. So are we loving and we're educating? But we're also told to not only learn, but do. All truths are found in Christianity. Brothers and sisters, nothing perishes. Jesus Christ is the victor over evil, by be victors over impiety. Spirit of Truth, Paris 1860. This is taken from chapter 6. But what ways are we sitting here? We can love ourselves, we love our family, we love our friends, but that's not where we're told to go. We are told to expand beyond that. Jesus teaches us to love our enemies. We have to expand our loving circle to all those around us. Like I just said in the last slide, we are to treat each other as brothers and sisters. We are to make ourselves family. We are to incorporate ourselves as one human family. And we have people in our family that are the black sheep, the people that are little different, little odd, but they're still family. We still work out and we reach out to them, we help them, we do things for them. And the part that gets me is is this people that you help them more than you help like a friend that's similar. Like, oh, I'll help my brother that's a little off because he's my brother, but I won't help my friend because he's my friend, or I won't help my colleague because he's my colleague. Where did that line come into play? And as we just read, that is something that should not be there. If you have a chance to help someone, if you do, and this is critical because you don't need to do grandiose things. You don't need to be big to make a difference. You can do small things. I remember a story here of a person that was in school. She was a high school student and was having a really, really rough time. And she's in there, in her locker, books spill out of her locker. She's upset, she's crying, she's sad. Some person in the hallway saw this and helped her put the books back up into her closet, or into her locker, I'm sorry. Picking up all her books, everything else, and sitting there saying, and telling, boy, let's help you, and then puts them back in, and then leaves and sends her on her way. But that moment had such a profound effect on this one person because all of a sudden she felt seen. Someone saw her. And to make things even worse, the whole reason why she was setting up her locker as she was doing was that was the day she was going to commit suicide. And because of those small events of just helping a person put their books back in the locker, changed their mindset and realized that they are not invisible. And that helped them. That got them out of whatever it was in, and this person stayed around and didn't commit suicide that day. That's a small call to action. That's a small way to help. We need to go around and look at the small things we do, that we go around and help people and truly help them. It doesn't, like it says, I just said picking up books off a floor was not money, was barely any time, but it had a profound impact. Could we be doing those little things and progressing and making that a call to action? I'll go back with the second point here. True Spiritists are recognized by their moral transformation and the efforts they make to overcome their evil inclinations. This is going back to one of our favorite questions in the Spirits book, where we have to know thyself and take the time to go back, as St. Augustine mentions to us, and figure out, who did we hurt today? Did we do all the good we could do? Or is there any good we left undone that we could have done, but we didn't do? Is there ways out there that we could look and improve ourselves? Is there ways that we hurt someone's feelings? And if so, is there a way we can make up for it and put that into place? Is there a time when you are out there and you're mad or upset and you accidentally cut someone off? But then do you get upset when someone cuts you off? do you sit there like right now, as we mentioned in the beginning, I oversee road construction. So I put up those little orange cones up on the roadway, and I make trouble for however long it takes for my construction project to go. A year, 2 years, however long it may be. And during that time, yeah, I make a lot of people mad. I make a lot of people upset because I need a lane to widen the roadway, do my work, whatever I have to do before I give it back to you, the people. And you, next thing you know, is like, oh, this is so much better now. So but at the same time, I'm like, I'm mindful that I'm hurting people. I'm trying to minimize how much in my job I work. But what about in my personal life? Am I doing the same thing? Am I making life better for myself? Am I making my life better for others? For my daughter? For my parents? For my friends? Everybody? Am I there for them in their times of need? And this goes into this last one here. Duty is an individual's moral obligation, first toward him or herself and toward others immediately thereafter. Duty is the law of life. It is found in the smallest details as well as the most elevated facts. When we come into our life, in some ways, we choose our duties. We choose to become a parent. We choose our profession. We choose many of our different things, and many of these come with a duty. When we're in school, it is our duty to learn all that the teacher has to teach us to the best of our ability. And we are mentioning to others that we are, in our duties to others, we have to remember that we also have a duty to ourselves. Because there's times when we get lost in helping others and we forget to help ourselves. This is something common with doctors, that they'll work on a patient at the expense of their own health. And then to the point where then they are unable to help others because they didn't able to take care of themselves. And then I started seeing that here within moral spiritual circles. Do we see the one person in our center that is our anchor, that is the person we always look up to the most? But are we also unable to be there for them? Are we allowing them time to hurt, to heal, to do what they need to do? Or are we forcing them to always do their duty, being strong, being the anchor for everyone else? This is something that I've seen from a few different centers now as I travel around a lot, to see that we should always be mindful and help our centers, our communities, and not just rely on one person. We should always make it a group effort and try to help in some small way, shape, manner, or form. Again, it does not have to be big. It can be small. Whether it's buying the book from the bookstore, helping say, I'll bring these foods for after the center, or donations, whatever it can be, but also putting some time and effort in, that helps because it takes the load off. Even Jesus, when he was going to the cross, had someone come and help him carry his cross. Even though that person didn't want to, he was told to do it, and he did. That was a duty. That was a call to action. And we find out that in our day-to-day lives, we have to be mindful of that. We have to keep pushing ourselves and keep helping all those around us. Not only do we have to educate ourselves, but we have to love one another, just as we were reading before in that previous slide. We need to be there for each other as well as ourselves? I'm seeing some of these wonderful questions coming in. I feel like I need to cut this a little shorter than normal just because I'm seeing these wonderful questions. So, but I want to get to this last slide here that I have for me, because we are called to put this into practice. And I was reminded of a Bible verse, Ecclesiastes 9:10. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. So again, it's another call to action, but it's in the Bible. And it's like, whatever you feel strong enough to do it, and do it with all your ability. And then, of course, our favorite saying, without charity, there is no salvation. Charity is a call to action. We are here to help each other. We learn from each other. We help each other to grow. And we also take this opportunity to look through and see. One of the best things I love with these group studies I do when we're reading the Spirit's book is we go around and figure out, how does this question or answer mean to you? And I also see this too with the gospel. We'll read a section and say, how does this apply to you? How do you see this and everything else? Because it's amazing. Because everyone out there has their own points of view. They've all had multiple different experiences. The destination's the same, but the journey is entirely different for each individual person. So I'm sitting here listening to how people interpret one passage from 5, 10 different perspectives, and they all take little bits out of it. But by listening to those perspectives, it helps you get that grander scheme of what the truth is, because we have one part of it, they have another part, and someone else has another part. An example I was going to say is, sometimes you see this where they do art students. They are round in a circle, and the object they are painting is in the middle. So, bowl of fruits, model, whatever, sits in the middle, and everyone is around it. And they paint what they see from their point of view. And it's true to them. What they see from their point of view is true. But then you move around to another point of view, it's totally different. But it's still the truth. We're seeing things from different points of view. And by us interacting, working together, throwing out the pride, throwing out the selfishness, putting in the humility, we can start to see different aspects of where we need to go. If we're all climbing a mountain, I take this path, you take this path. The mountain is still the mountain, but it looks totally different from depending on which route we take. And that's how we are with the doctrine. How we are getting closer to God. That we are moving forward. Let's take another look. I've been speaking this whole time about the doctrine. And we have so many other books. I turned my camera and show you the library of Spiritist books I have on my shelf. But I also had to think about it. All the people, all the spirits that have jumped in to come and help us. Andre Luis, Joanna DeAngelis, Emmanuel, Manuel Filomeno Miranda, so many books are written. These are spirits that says, I'm coming to help you. I'm having my call to action to bring words of wisdom, words of knowledge to you. How are we to go through life with all these authors? They are coming and helping us. They didn't have to. Joanna DeAngelis didn't have to write. Andre Louise didn't have to write. They could have kept on moving on. But yet they brought their wisdom to us. And even in their works, even in their writings, we see this especially with Andre Louise. We see how the spirits come to action. We have enough examples where the spirits themselves come to our aid, to our rescue. I was looking at the planetary transitions, a book kind of special to me, not realizing it at the time. Within a few years, a person that I lost in that same flood, in that same tsunami, I would read in a book how the spirits from all over the world came to the aid to rescue all those that were disincarnated at that moment. And realizing that my coworker at the time is probably one of those that was helped in that book. Not written by name or anything else. The fact that spirits from all different backgrounds, lifestyles, came in a moment of need to help when there was a natural disaster. If the spirits are coming to action, what are we doing? Are we doing the same thing? And are we being mindful of our actions? We just had disaster strike, Jamaica, Cuba. Are we going to reach out and help? Or are we going to be one of those that take advantage of the situation to make a buck, but leave someone else hurting? They will lose everything, and we may gain short-term gain, but lose long-term. That's this last one here, the real world example. What are we doing? Can we be a help? In California, the Palisade fires. People open their homes to friends, family, to strangers to say, hey, I still have my place. Let me help you. Let me give you a bath. Let me give you a place to stay and help you get you back on your feet. We do see this around the world. We see bad thing is when tragedy strikes. Then it seems like the outpouring of help happens. But we shouldn't be doing that whenever tragedy strikes. We should be able to find this in day-to-day activities and help people up in a moment of need when we could sit there and help one person for one moment, for one part of a day, lift them up, elevate them, be a kind word, be that hug that they need. Again, it can be small. But then you do one small thing and do another small thing and do another small thing. In Scouts, we had a saying, do a good turn daily. So do something beneficial to another person daily. It doesn't have to be the same person. I actually prefer you didn't. It should go to someone else. That way we're becoming brothers and sisters to each other. We're helping ourselves out and we're helping each other out. With that, I'll invite the host to come back. We can probably start working on some of these questions and answers. Marcia.
Hi, I'm back. So thank you. Thank you for your kind reflections. It's really a sweeping reflection on the foundations of Spiritism. But this is really an invitation for all of us to truly understand what is a call to action, as the title of your talk today. But before we start our Q&A, Brian, let's start with some announcements. So first one, yeah, if you didn't make it, right? If you didn't make it to the 19th US Spiritist Symposium, it took place on September 20th. So we are, over a month away. It was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And the theme was the evolution of consciousness, a path toward enlightenment. And please note, all talks, panels, Q&A sessions are now available on the USSF YouTube channel. Don't miss it. They're really good. There is this podcast-like series, Psychology and Spirituality, A Bridge to Better Life. It is based on the works by Joanna De Angelis, and there is a new episode every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is also available on the YouTube channel, but also Spotify channel of the USSF. And this is brand new, folks. We have a new book release. Now we're going to the Spiritist Review. There you go, Brian. You got it. The 1866 year. So it's amazing, isn't it, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's by, of course, Allan Kardec, but available at, as you can see here, the the URL spiritistbooks.us, as well as the QR code. Amazing, folks. And finally, no, not finally, we do have the Spiritist app, Be My Hope. We've seen this announcement for several weeks now, but folks, this app really offers great content, uplifting message, as well as a collection of videos, daily messages, audio materials. So for all of us that may be struggling, download it now from the App Store or Google Play. It is free and immediately available to all of us. We do have really, for those like me, I love audiobooks, right? So for those of us who prefer that, there are 7 free professionally recorded Spiritist audiobooks. It's been sponsored and produced by the Spiritist Society of the Carolinas, and you can listen to Allan Kardec's foundational works at your own pace at through the YouTube at Spiritist Societies Carolinas. And we get to this really important QR code, because if you are there and you're compelled to use and foster the US Spiritist Federation, produce more publications or events to promote Spiritism to everyone, scan the QR code on the screen and give your donation. So let's now turn our attention to our comments and questions. And if you haven't submitted yours, please do. We still have some time. So let's go ahead and get started. So Brian, you started by referencing question 779 of the Spirit's book. So I have this question line of question 779. How can we, as a group, help each other advance morally? What structures or practice should we implement in, so we're talking about Spiritist group, right? In our
Mm-hmm.
center community to assist one another's progress?
I poked on it a little bit when you were sitting here. You do the studies of the Spirit's book or do the Spirit Gospel, and you kind of get the different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a lot because it broadens your mind of the fact that you don't have the same point of view. So what you may think is okay, maybe not okay to another person, and they can give a reason behind it. They can give an example from their life that can go and illustrate this. I mean, I remember in a study group, we were talking about the death penalty, which is in the gospel. And, you know, you're always saying like, oh, death to murderers and everything else. And then we sat there and we're reading through the Bible, through the book. And one of the things one of the questions that came up mine is, well, who murders a murderer? Who takes on the
another murderer.
and on their conscience of putting a murderer to death.
Yeah.
It was like, and that I sat there and I let my wheels turning, and I was sitting there
Yeah.
like, okay, you're asking another person to commit the same crime as the person that's
Yeah.
already been convicted has done. So where does it stop?
Yeah.
And this goes back to an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an interesting study. This is decades ago that I listened, so I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to really give a reference from my memory now. But there was an interesting study that was made of mental illnesses or lack of mental health, if you will, of those so-called modern day executioners, Brian. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
seen or heard about it, where, let's say, lethal injection, and there's several people injecting. So out of five, let's say, one of them actually is the one injecting. No one knows, yet everybody there had nightmares and eventually led to pathologies just based on the guilt of perpetuating or executing on an order. That's my job, right? And I always remember that on those complicated questions that you pose to us, who
Hmm.
who kills or who murders a murders, right? It's a moral, ethical question that
Hmm.
it is hard when you are victim, right? Or family member or a dear friend is a victim of such terrible crime to forgive. But how do you break the cycle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other question? So, what pride of selfish attitudes might be silently blocking my personal growth? Hmm. Are there
Mm.
concrete steps I can take to prevent those obstacles to my progress?
The Going back to, I want to say it's 919 of the Spirits book. And it's
Mm,
not the first question, it's the follow-up question. The
mm,
first question is, no, as a man in antiquity, know thyself. And that's when St.
mhm.
Augustine comes in and does the reflection. And
Yeah.
you have to sit there and you have to go backwards and think through the day. And it's reflecting. You have to
Mhm.
take the time to reflect on your day, because when you do the pride and the selfishness have no power when you're reflecting. How can you be prideful to yourself?
Yeah.
You're always honest with yourself. You can't steal from yourself. So selfishness and pride go out the window, but you have to take the time to reflect. And if you don't like St. Augustine's methods, there's Ben Franklin's methods with his 25 virtues. And
Yeah.
he'd have a journal, and every day he put a
Yeah.
dot if he did not uphold a virtue or a value. And then that
Yeah.
way he would go through, and by the end of his life, the amount of dots decreased. They didn't go away. He wasn't perfect
Yeah.
by the end of his life, but he went from, say, 7 dots a day to maybe two or three.
Yeah.
And that's progress.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting when you think of that. I immediately, because where I work, they call lean methodology. As you know, it's
Hmm.
a very well adopted for manufacturing, but other environments. Uh, and you do problem solving. But in my company, we call it pride problem solving. So when the questions about pride, immediately it came to, oh, problem solving. Why? Because in one of the lean tools is called the 5 whys for the problem
Hmm.
solving. You have to start with the first, why did it happen? Well, da da da. But why did da 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 happen? Da 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 da. And why did and only when you find the root cause, we start to see a, if you will, a solution or a path toward solving the problem, right? But the question was about how do they block, and I hear is maybe you're not aware of the problem, and that know thyself, as you mentioned, is a very important question. I would say one of the most well cited referenced question in the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, and it's one that you really need to take to heart, right? We
Hmm.
need to understand. Joanna de Angelis, as you know, I'm a student of Joanna de Angelis, and she brings about, Brian, questions on spiritual but also psychological maturity,
Hmm.
right? Or immature in some cases. And I think if we are very honest to ourselves, we are pretty across the board immature, right?
Hmm.
So those questionings, those Saint Augustine, Benjamin Franklin, or any other methodology we can use for this awareness, self-awareness, can help us become able to identify, so that you can have some concrete steps to
Yep.
prevent those
Hmm.
obstacles of pride and selfishness, as you
Hmm.
mentioned here.
You mentioned Joanna DeAngelis, and going back to
Yeah,
my topic,
yeah,
we always notice how Joanna DeAngelis is harder to be. But at the same time, she's like she's also forcing a silent call to action.
yeah,
She doesn't want you. She doesn't want to lower herself to our level. She's
yeah,
encouraging us to step up to where she is. So
yeah.
she's in calling us to action to learn and to grow.
So,
And then
so
the other
maybe you
one I
want
want to
to, yeah, I want to reference more about it, because I've heard of that, right? Oh, right. Divaldo Franco, Joanne is so hard to read, right?
not always, not
Yeah,
always. It depends on the book. I think there's certain books
yeah,
she pushes you to improve yourself, and then there's
yeah,
other books that she writes that she does come and be kind into all. It
yeah,
really depends on, and she picks her books. It's like
yeah,
when it's like you were saying, the psychology or the psychology series. Those
yeah,
she wants you to up your game.
yeah,
The other, but
yeah.
when it's talking about empty lives or full lives, then it's much
Beautiful
more simple.
books.
But
Yeah,
going back to the other
beautiful
one, I wanted
books.
real quick.
Yeah,
The other one I
go
want to sit there
ahead.
with your five whys.
Yeah.
With the question before with the from TVC, the five whys.
Hmm.
Pride and selfishness has this nasty little habit of building stories on
Yeah.
top of it. They build the layers.
Interesting. Yes.
And when you
Yeah.
do your five whys, you're peeling back a layer. You're
Yeah.
drilling down. So it's like, because the pride will sit there and come up with an excuse to give an example of why not to do something.
Yeah.
Then after a while, then it has another story, so it puts another layer on. So
Yeah.
next thing you know, it's building its layers. It's building up its layers of protection of pride and selfishness
Yeah.
that you have to
Yeah.
peel back. And that's
And
where,
have the
like you said, your
honesty,
five
right?
whys. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why you're doing the
Yeah.
five whys. You're like peeling. Okay, this is the first layer. Next
Yeah.
why is the second layer,
Yeah.
third layer, and you're getting down into it. You're drilling down further with your five
Yeah.
whys.
I have an example of that, which is not direct, but it can help us, all of us, understand this silent blocking, how pride and selfishness can silently block us from progressing, right? That was the question. The five whys, it's an example that somebody gave to me, and I never forgot, Brian, which is this woman, and she was getting old. And as we get old, her figure was no longer that of a 15-year-old woman or girl. And she was just devastated. She wanted to lose weight, right? And her mom, seeing all the struggles, says, "Why?" Number one, right? And she says, "Oh, because I want to." She's doing a diet because she wants to lose weight, right? Why? Because I want to get to my jeans, right? My old jeans. Why? Because I want to look good. Why? Because I want to have a boyfriend. And the fifth one, which is the one in her case, was the example. And she said, "But why? Because I want to be loved." And for us, it's really this: we all want to be loved. So
Hmm.
instead of diets and genes and boyfriends, let's go into the root cause of what is hurting us in many cases, right? Pride and selfishness, it's usually the reason. Anyways, let's go for the next one. Brian, in what ways does materialism reinforce pride or selfishness, and how can self-awareness counteract it?
Ooh. Well, for a lot of people, this is the status symbols, the prestige. I'll use your
Mm,
previous example as a great example
mm,
because they're saying, why getting the jeans to look good and
yeah,
everything else? So, versus what? What was she wearing before that? Why did she need to be in like those
yeah,
jeans?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
that builds, that's the pride, that's the selfishness. Do you have to have the latest and greatest automobile? Do you have
yeah,
to, like, yeah, I have an Apple Watch, but do I have the latest and greatest version? No, I don't.
yeah.
It's like, it's one of those things where is it necessary? Like, even for my watch, I have a reason for it because I have a heart condition, and it uses
Mhm.
it to track. That's why I got it. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I could use it. I can use a $10
An
watch from
analog,
Walmart.
yeah, an
Yeah,
analog watch. Uh-huh.
yeah, a
Mm,
little Timex or something like that. One of those little pieces. So, and that's kind of part of it. It's like, is what you're buying? Is it making you feel good? Is it there to sit there and say, I'm better than you? You
mhm,
know, like
mhm.
someone driving a Lamborghini down the street. Yeah, it's going to turn eyes. It's going to turn heads.
And
Thing
it
costs as
does.
much as
It
a
does.
house.
Yes.
I'm like, so you're driving. You have you're driving around in something smaller than your house that costs the same as your house. You have the
Yeah.
money for it, okay. But does it? Could a $30,000 car do the job just as well?
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's this is the materialism aspect. This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a collared shirt for this event. But
Yeah.
then after this, I can switch into a t-shirt, or
Yeah.
something like a little bit less casual
Yeah.
or more, or, and
More
also
casual. Yeah.
more casual. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was sitting here, but it's like, could I, but or do I, but I can also put up in a full suit and tie, like I did at that. We did the 19th symposium. I was there in a full suit and tie,
Yes.
three-piece suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had, so it's like I can go up, I can go down. And what is the
Uh-huh.
purpose?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and again, that's where it's so
Yeah.
again, going back to reflection, self-awareness, reflect it. What
Yeah.
do it? It's like something that I was always told to is like Christmas list. We always do, what do you need? What would you like? And what do you want? Not
Oh,
those.
I
That's
like it. Yeah. Yeah.
so you got
Yeah.
your needs, wants, and would likes. So you already
Yeah.
prioritize. What do you need?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
but put that for materialism. Do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need something fancy? Or do you just want it? My daughter wants candy from Halloween.
Ha-ha.
So, uh, but does she need candy? No. She wants it?
Unfortunate.
Yes. Then in the grand scheme of things, it's more of a would like. I would like
Yeah.
to have candy. I just want to go out and
Yeah.
have fun, go trick or treating, and have the experience. Was
Yeah.
actually the want.
Yeah.
The candy
Yeah.
was this the would like. I would like to get candy because of that.
Yeah.
So but that's kind of it, where it's like, put the reflection in. Do you need it, or do you just want it, or would you like to have it? Like, I would
Yeah.
like to have a Lamborghini, but I don't need it. I don't want it. So it's down on the list.
That's awesome. Let's see if we have another one.
Mm. One of these two at the bottom, two in the end look pretty interesting.
Daniel, hi.
Ooh.
Daniel sent that. What are some of the most common mistakes someone makes when creating a call to action, which is the title of our talk, and
Hmm.
what best practices can be implemented to avoid them? So let's start first. What are some common mistakes that you've seen, Brian, and what are some things that we can do to avoid those mistakes?
Okay, this is first thing that's coming into my head right now is our lovely gospel talk. Don't
Yeah,
let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. And we see
awesome.
this a lot in politics.
Yeah, yeah,
we're sitting here. It's like you'll see people coming out there and they'll be doing something promotional. It's like, hey, I'm helping the poor, and they're out there doing this thing. All the cameras are around them and everything else and things like this. And he'll go around and says, vote for me, and this will never happen again. And these kind of moments. But then once the cameras go away, they disappear. And it's like they're washing their hands, like, ooh, that whole motion that comes with it. Yeah, it was a call to action to come to help and everything else. But going back to the pride and selfishness, they were doing it for selfish reasons. They were doing it for a look. They were doing it for prestige. They were doing it for, and then, like my example, votes. So you see this type of these things where you're doing a call to action. You're doing this, but you can't make it about yourself.
Like
you and I right now, we've been dialoguing this whole time in these question and answers. We've been pulling off each other. We're doing exactly what I was saying before. We have two different points of view, and we're dialoguing, and we're sharing, and we're meeting together, adding ideas. So this is part of it. When we do our call to action, sometimes our call to action may be those words says, hey, I don't see it the same way you do. I see this as you being, prideful, selfish, and something like this. I think you're doing this just for your own gain. And that's something we also need to do too. We do need to call out bad behaviors in some instances. We got to sit there and say, hey, like right now, there's a big thing in the United States for political violence, the hate. It's a big call to action to sit there and reduce that hate. And this is something we're trying to point it out. We're picking it out and pointing it out. But again, on that stage, it's very charged because it's politics. And that's one of the two taboo subjects, which oddly enough are probably the two subjects we need to talk about the most. Because of this pride and selfishness thing, they're allowed to grow in the environments where they're not challenged, they're not tested, there's no reflection. And this is one of those things too. It's like with all this is like, why do you hate me? Or why do you hate my point of view? And vice versa, both sides. Is there a reason? Is there logic? Is there something to be said in all of these circumstances that make that the same? And that's where I'm been kind of pushing. It's like, what can we do to make that better? Because that's the call to action. That's the artists on two different sides looking at the same truth. They're seeing it from two different ways, but they got to sit there and talk. They got to compare notes. Because if you're doing 2D art of a 3D object, you need to use the other side to make it three-dimensional. That's why we have two eyes.
Good example. Very good example. Awesome. In this highly polarized world, I think it's right from where you're talking, right? We are turning to a cancel society. How can we foster an environment that encourages forgiving and loving even those with opposing views?
Going back to one of the previous slides, we have to treat each other as brothers and sisters first, not as enemies, not as opponents. We have to. This thing, like one of the things I was mentioning in one of my previous talks was God, family, country. And then because it's like we're putting divisions, and it's like country is like a unifying thing, but that's still a division. America, Brazil, Spain, China, Russia, that's a division line. And as we read earlier in the book, we are to be all as brothers and sisters. So it should be just God, family, because that's humanity will become family. So we need to remove the
very good point. Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. We're creating divisions based on ideology, point, and everything else. We're dividing. We're not unifying. And in order to do this, we have to lose the pride, lose the selfishness, lose our egos, and allow the other person to say their point of view, open up to what they see, what they can see. They're seeing things from a different point of view. they're seeing different facts, they're seeing different things, they're seeing different consequences to actions that you may not be aware of. And that's how we can get that three-dimensional view.
Mhm.
Is we can sit there and look and see, you have this point of view, I have this point of view. This side may look rosy and perfect. This side is saying, no, it's going to have these consequences that are bad. Going back to what I said about the atomic bomb, you
Yeah.
got 2 bombs and the area is unusable for generations.
Mhm.
And or even like Chernobyl or some of these other things that have been out there, that
Yeah.
all these effects, and then there's efforts to be put into it and we're sitting there saying, like, it may have been good, but it has these consequences. Like, even with the Chernobyl disaster or the 3 Mile Island incident, those were nuclear, and they were saying this is because of how charged that is, and like we don't want big bad things to happen. They changed safety protocols. They changed how things happened to reduce those things from happening in the future. So
Yeah.
things get safer over time because we learn from these bad consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's the same thing with all the cancel culture.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it there? Why is that opposing view there? What's not addressed or being addressed in that opposing side? And is there
Yeah.
common ground between them?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Um, I think we may have one more question. Let's see. If not, I think we're going to head to the end. I think we've reached our last question then, but I want to say thank you. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Brian, and thank you and to all of you for your questions. Just want to send this heartfelt thanks to everyone who not only joined us today, will join us in the future because the recording remains, right? But also those who regularly follow our weekly Spiritist Talk series. As as you can see, your continued engagement is really appreciated. But on the screen, we just want to share that we would like to have you join us next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, for the upcoming live series where Márcio Silva will explore the topic of the times have come. And we really would love to see you back.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, before we close the live, I'd love if you could maybe bring us your final remarks, a prayer, poem, whatever you want to say.
Actually, I was just sitting here thinking about that. The times have come. And like I said, I do call of action. The next week is the times have come. They're blending right into each other. So, but I
Yes.
will take this moment to just thank everyone for attending. Thank you for giving this opportunity to love, to share, to talk and dialogue. I hope we can see each other at a Spiritist Center, Spiritist event in the future. All those are here in attendance. And like I said, it's okay to keep learning because we all started somewhere. I started 20 years ago reading the book for the very, very first time, and I've grown since then. And it's been warm. It's come into my heart in many ways that I can barely say in a second. But thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for joining us, all of us here, and we hope to see everyone again in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you,
Mhm.
everyone. And have a wonderful weekend.